Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Fluff here, and today we have a pretty special guest and someone who I would call an actual real-life friend because we've talked smack to each other in airports and NAM for a few years, and I think we only friends do that kind of thing. So
especially in airports.
Yeah, remember I saw you. I think everyone was leaving NAM, and I walked by, and you and Ben. I walked by and I hear like, "Your beard sucks," and I was like, "What?
Who would dare say that?
Who is that? Do you remember that? That was like 3-4 years ago.
I do.
That was so.
That's back when we were allowed to have NAM.
Yeah, it was good. That was a really cool NAM. And so, dude, thank you so much for coming on. We are going to check out your new pedal with Wampler called the Gearbox, which I must say is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I love the name. First of all, the name instantly makes me think of sports cars, like shifting, like you have options. It makes me think of options. And there's also a gate. It's a dual. You know what? Please tell us about it, Andy.
Oh yeah, it's funny you caught the automotive thing. There is like a little ghost graphic. I don't know how you can see it. I try to make things subtle. Like I'm definitely, first off, I'm not the guy that wants like a giant AW on the pedal and like just like Andy Wood everywhere, blah, in your face. Like that's not really my brand.
Yeah.
You know, I'm more of a denim jacket, flat finish kind of guy. So I was like, we were tossing around different ideas and I didn't want it too tied into me. Like I didn't want to name it after a song,
sure,
you know, or something like that. But gearbox in European racing, that's, you know, Europeans call the transmission the gearbox.
Right.
So I was like, okay, cool, this makes sense. Like, and it's small. It's like the idea is like, can I put it on one of the smallest pedal train nanos with a delay and limp through a gig if I didn't have anything else and a backline, whatever.
Okay.
Get through it. And then anything after, if I can make it sound good through that, then from there. So yeah, it's a two channel kind of pedal. Think of it like a 2-in-1, because another thing we added was these independent ins and outs for each side, so you could treat it like an insert. Wanted a gate, not necessarily to be like periphery or dime bag or anything like that, but more to like when you're playing an old theater. Like I play rooms that are, you know, a lot of times the venue might be 100 years old, some of those old theaters. Or even if you're a working class musician playing clubs and the club is wired poorly. This is meant just to roll in the gate until you grab the noise floor, like the idle hum, and get that out of there, so your sound man still likes you, you know.
and if the sound man likes you, you're gonna sound great.
Yeah, that's the thing. So, and outside of that, I wanted to like just trim the fat, keeping with like the race car idea. You know, when you see a stock Ferrari versus a track Ferrari, it's like the track Ferrari's missing all the things.
Yeah.
It's missing the radio and the air conditioning. You know, you want it to go faster. So like one side was inspired by the Tumnus, one side was inspired by the Pinnacle, and we took out all the options, right? And I say inspired by because on the Pinnacle side, I got with Jake and Brian, and we actually modified the level and gain, the way they interact, just a little bit. And then we also modified the level on the Tumnus side, because normally on a Klon-style circuit, unity gain is around 9 o'clock on the level, and then the gain is up. I wanted it to where if all the knobs were at noon and you never heard of me and you never heard of this pedal, it still works.
Yes.
Like it still sounds great. So we modified a couple of the level structures, and then on the Pinnacle side, we took out, I'll be honest, all this stuff that I'm just like, I don't need this. Like switches that go vintage and modern and blah, blah, blah. I was like, just give me the one that sounds really great and take out everything else.
I also, though, speaking of switches, I like the fact that you can use them both at the same time, but you can also switch the order in which they operate.
And other pedal manufacturers have done that, but they've done it to where you have to unplug and plug back in, right? And you have to physically change. This is actually just with a toggle.
Love that.
Right? So, yeah, and yeah, I mean, you know, for like size reference, here's my iPhone, and like I've got Velcro on the back, sorry. You can tell I'm using mine. So like there's my iPhone, and that's how big it is. So that was another thing, is like I really wanted small footprint, get you 2 pedals instead of having the giant pinnacle and then the tumnus. You know, it's like condensing. That was the whole theme. It's just like make it to where I'm playing the guitar and not thinking about pedals.
Also, top jacks, kids. If you design a pedal, top jacks for
top jacks rule
for your fellow guitarists. Okay, so I am plugged into. So you were saying right before we started that you've never really tried this through a Class A amp. I'm going into the Badcat, the front end of a Badcat Lynx 50, which is Class A. I can have clean or dirty channels, and I'm using just a stock Music Man Sabre clean channel. Great clean channel. I have everything at noon on my gearbox here. Let's see. I'm going to start with channel 1. Not crazy, a little nice crunch for me.
Yeah, that thing's more of a push side.
Love that.
Like when I think of clones in general, tumnus clones, any of those, centaurs or whatever, that circuit to me is always just meant to push something. I really like that in front of things like I was telling you earlier, like a super bass or a plexi. Any of those style amps, I like it in front of that. I tell you, it also functions really well in front of like Diesel Channel 2.
Oh,
I know I'm
okay,
like the Nashville guy or whatever, but I like my high gain stuff, and like Rhodes, EVH. I like it to like do the thing where you tighten up the low end. Yeah. So like really functions well for that. Another great thing that I love it with is using a compressor as a boost and then hitting the front of this and then hitting the front of an amp. So you're getting like lots of sustain, lots of that like feel good under the fingers without a lot of gain. And that's something I'm looking for a lot when I'm doing pop country.
Sure.
I want the sustain. I want all of this stuff to feel good. Blues players, but you can't have a lot of hair. So that's like the functioning of that. I rarely ever use it just to turn that on. It's like it's either pushing something or something's pushing that.
Interesting.
And the reason it works with channel 2 is because channel 2 is kind of the gain in the box kind of thing.
Right. Okay. So should I try channel 1 with more of a?
Yeah. Bring on your gain channel.
Okay. Now I'm gonna turn on.
And now roll in the boost. Yeah. Of channel 1 and kind of roll. And then you can do
saucy.
You can do the old school trick where like you run a little less gain and a little more level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're wanting more oomph and less hair.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do. I'm gonna go level at like 3 o'clock.
This is fun because, like I said, like we were talking, I don't have a Class A amp in my inventory right now.
And we're going to go gain about 9 o'clock. So
see what it like. Yeah, see what it does.
Okay, so without. With.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, like it vacuums out all of that. It's high-low pass kind of thing.
Okay, I see you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And again, if you're a guy that has a 2 amp rig, that's a scenario where you would use out of this. Or if you were using something more complicated like an RJM or a gig rig or something.
Yeah.
You could send what you want. You're not married to like it has to go through both sides.
Okay, so that is cool. That's saucy, but we're going to get even more saucy with channel 2 because...
On the clean channel, right?
Yeah, on the clean channel. We'll go back to the cleans. Everything's at noon right now. I like how hairy it is, but it's not out of control hairy. It's nice.
Right. It's like it is like kind of that traditional, like it's got that sagginess that like a big Marshall would have, or like a Friedman or something. It's got that thing. It's not super vacuum tight. The gate is interesting. That's actually the first place that I start when I'm EQing this pedal. I just like let the guitar hum. If I'm going to use both channels on for whatever reason, and I need to go into like orbit, I need to have all of the gain. If I have both of them on, I start the gate works to where if you roll it counterclockwise, it's completely off, and then I just roll it in until it grabs the noise.
All right, let's do that. I'm gonna turn on both. I don't know if you can hear that or not over on your side.
I can't.
Okay.
I can't.
Now it's silent.
Yeah, and it usually grabs at about 11 o'clock. 11 or 12 o'clock is right when it starts to grab.
That's where I'm at. Just before noon is where I'm at.
Yeah. I actually have got the circuit boards to the prototypes laying around the studio here. My amp tech and I, John Cooper, worked really hard on the gate. We went through, I think, 5 or 6 variants because gates can be complicated. If you've ever seen the TC gate or even the old school Boss gate, like your ins and outs, and it can get really complicated really quickly. So what I wanted was more of that kind of downward expander style gate instead of the door shutting gate, and I wanted it on one knob. That way it was really, really simple. Again, trimming the fat.
Dude, how much did you stress out Brian? Like what you just explained, I'm thinking like, how would I mean, I'm not a pedal designer, so like
I'm pretty sure that they hate me at this point. I'm very, very neurotic about the way the guitar feels. And you can get something to sound great, you can get something to feel great. It's hard to do both.
Sure.
Like a lot of times, and most of the time I sacrifice feel for a better tone. I think a lot of guys will go, it's a little stiff, but it sounds great. Like that's what I'm going to play on. So with this, I was trying to get both. And then, hey man, is it possible to get rid of that noise floor that I know would happen if you're playing on Lower Broadway in Nashville?
Right.
Like those clubs are antiques, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Or a festival. That's another thing. You tour. It's like when you play festivals, those noise floors can be all over the place.
Dude, or the wild, the wild noises, and they're like, well, it's probably your rig. You're like, no, I've never had this problem before. This is your old 150-year-old venue. So
yeah.
But yeah, whatever.
So I was trying to build in safety nets to all that. And then when I basically a loose rule I use is if I'm trying to get sustain without the hair, I run less gain on the pinnacle side, which is channel 2, and then I hit it harder with channel 1, like what we were doing.
Yeah.
It's really about like, am I playing rhythm? Then I'll set it up more for a rhythm thing. Am I playing a lot of like my songs? Like most of Junktown was recorded with the prototype that I have laying around here. Yeah. Most of Junktown was recorded with this.
Oh, that's awesome.
So this doesn't have the gate in it, and it's also, there's some internal variants with like the sag switch and the levels that are a little different, but most of Junktown was this. So when I'm playing my tunes, I set it up like that. You know what I mean?
That is cool. Also, something that I appreciate as just, I don't know, I need to move around pedals and film them in various spots. This is 9-volt battery powered or power adapter. So, which I wasn't expecting, because something like this with the, 2 pedals plus a gate, normally when you see that many features, there's no battery at all.
Yeah, so that's actually news to me. I didn't know that you could do a battery because I never use batteries.
I hate using batteries, but I have to use batteries a lot of the time.
Yeah, I get it, man. So that's a good feature that I didn't know about.
Dude, it's awesome. This thing is really, really cool. It's saucy. I think by the time, they're going to see this the day it comes out, I believe, in just a couple of days from now when we're filming this. What else? Do you have a website they can go to? Are they going to go anywhere Wampler sold?
Oh, yeah. I'll give you the spiel. Just go straight to andywoodmusic.com. You can get all your overload of all things me there. So like I definitely hit the note quota a few years ago, so I have to pay extra on my domain for for the tasteless shreds. But yeah, go there for any of my stuff as far as if you're interested in my music or videos or where I'm playing and touring and things like that.
Dude.
But yeah, so I'm excited. You know, this is my first signature product with a company outside of Sir. Obviously, I did the guitars with them and the compressor. But yeah, this was a long time in the making. A lot of that had to do with the pandemic and manufacturing. Sure. Again, with the aesthetic, like I wanted telly knobs, you know, like telly-inspired knobs because it just kind of looks cool.
Yeah,
you know?
It's awesome.
Yeah,
you did a really great job, dude. You are killing it. Thank you so much for stopping by. I will always. This is an odd association, but I am dear friends with Kyle Rhodes from way back in the day, and I remember his first NAMM. I go to play one of his amps. I'm like, hey, you know, my buddy Kyle, and he's like, oh yeah, that one has the Andy Wood mod, and I'm like, who the hell is Andy Wood? Like,
yeah, who's this joker?
Andy Wood, what? And he's cool enough to have a mod, like a mod that you can get on your amps. What the hell? And like that was the first time I'd ever heard your name, and then I saw you play, and I was like, oh, well, that's who Andy is. So, dude, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Dude, thank you for featuring it. Man, I'm a huge fan of your channel, and getting to know you's been a delight. So to have my stuff in your house is awesome.
Dude, you did a really good job. You guys really knocked it out of the park. This will be on lots of future stuff, I'm sure. Various amp and guitar demos that I have coming up. And if you'd like to know more, click the description down below. And with that, we're going to get out of here. You've been wonderful. I've been Fluff. He's been Andy. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time, guys.